Hey there, everyone. I am back this week to talk about some more comics I read. Um, I have been reading a bit more stuff than this, but I haven't finished some stuff, so that'll probably be in next week. I've been reading some big collections, and they're big. So I read small parts of them, and then I move on to other stuff, and I jump back and forth, and so I've got two or three collections I'm reading right now that are longer, and so there's not a lot of books this week, but there's some stuff. I got 5 things I read. So first thing we're going to look at is this. It's a Vertigo book. It's Uncle Sam. Now, Uncle Sam here is, he's an old comic character, but he wasn't originally a DC character. They bought another company, and I don't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but they bought that company and it got this character Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam is kind of like this, he's the living embodiment of the American spirit. So he's basically a fucking Uncle Sam. What do you do with that? He's Uncle Sam. You know what Uncle Sam looks like. But this is a totally different take on Uncle Sam, the character, the comic character. This is heavy. This is not okay. You can look on the cover here. Uncle Sam is on the ground all tattered up here. He's basically a crazy homeless man in this. He starts out, he's crazy, and he's screaming about conspiracy theories and stuff in the beginning. And by the way, this cover is by Alex Ross, who did Kingdom Come and stuff. It looks really nice, but so you see here, he's in the hospital screaming about stuff, and they're we can't help you here. We're an emergency room. We don't help your kind of mental illness. So they throw him out, and he's on the street walking around, and he's kind of flashing back. So you can't, at first you think is he just some crazy homeless dude? What the fuck is going on? But he starts flashing back to all these memories, but he's not flashing back. He's jumping in time between these things, and he's confused himself. So he doesn't understand what's happening a lot of the times. He's walking along the street, and there's homeless people and people fighting and screaming, and there's a pimp threatening a hooker, and somebody dead on the street. But he's going through all these things, and you can see Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and vaccines and openings, none. So vacancies and openings, not vaccines. That's something different. But whatever. And then there's crop dusting and stuff, and here's school segregation and school shooting. There's they're searching all the kids for weapons and stuff, and he's eating stuff out of the trash. He's basically a homeless man. But then he'll have these things where he flips back in time. So he's here he's in the Revolutionary War, and he's with his wife, and she'll be doing things, talking to him, and then somebody else, and it flashes back to the real world, and it's somebody else doing things to him. So he's oh, why is she taking off my boots when I'm about to go to war? And then it's some homeless guy stealing his boots. So he loses his shoes, and he's crazy, and then he's flashing back, and he's at the Kennedy assassination, and he's wakes back up, he's falling. It's there's lots of stuff like this, so it's a really heavy story. It's got all types of basically going over the troubling history of America. So there's lots of things that in American history that people are not proud of. And not just American history, but history in general, because it goes over other countries as well. It's not just about America, because he kind of interacts with the spirits of other countries. But he attacks an Uncle Sam, and another, a parade Uncle Sam, claiming that he has to talk to him. He has something important to tell him, and then he knocks him over and interrupts some kind of political speech and gets arrested. And then he's crazy and gets bailed out by his wife from the 17th century. She shows back up and bails him out. And then he's back on the street. Here he's back in the Revolutionary War. And then it's it's got a lot of crazy stuff going on. So like, he eventually he like is confused and disoriented and doesn't know what's happening, and then like you have like this other Uncle Sam that shows up, which is like this kind of commercialized horrible version of America, basically. Like it's like all the negative stereotypes of America, and he is trying to reclaim himself as the real Uncle Sam, like the real spirit of America. And he like, they fight, they have a big battle, and like at the end, he's back on the street as a homeless man, but he doesn't. But like he comes together with like the hat is there that he didn't have before, and he skips off singing like Yankee Doodle. It's like, this is a really heavy book. It's like, it's not like an easy read in the sense that like it's not something you're gonna like really enjoy, but like it's good. I mean, I enjoyed it, but like not in the sense that like it was fun. It was not fun, but it was good. And on that same level, here is a totally different take. So here is like the kind of current Uncle Sam. Now he's got a new series coming out like in a couple months maybe. But this is Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters, and this is like before Infinite Crisis, I think. But like it's also kind of dark. There's another book of this. There's a first volume that I don't have, and it's like a direct continuation. This is a direct continuation of that, because like it starts off and I don't know what the hell's going on. Like like one of the the team is basically like breaking up like in the beginning of this, but like the Freedom Fighters are a little different. Like it's got a bunch of characters that are kind of like C-class heroes, but I mean the Ray is in there, who is great for me, but like he's Doll Man and the Red Bee and like Miss America and Phantom Lady and the Human Bomb. Like all of those characters are in Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters here. Like, but like this is kind of, they're like part of Shade in this. So like Shade is like run by Father Time, and like apparently Father Time had like been doing some crazy stuff in the last book, and the president was a robot or whatever. But like I didn't read that one because I didn't have it. It's not like I just haven't found it yet. But it's kind of recapped in some of the like side parts of this story. But like Shade has been taken over by somebody else, and they're like going through all the Shade projects, and there's all this crazy stuff like miniaturized people who like capture the vice president, and like alien invasion of bug people. It's crazy, and this is like at the end the team breaks up, so it's kind of like this is the end of the series. So I missed the first half, but I have to find it because I like the character of Uncle Sam, even though he's kind of goofy. He's usually in Earth X, which is like the Nazi world. So DC has like the multiverse, but Earth X is the world where the Nazis win World War II, and Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters are basically the good guys. They're like fighting against the Nazi regime, like in the kind of alternate world. And so that's actually a new series coming out. So I'm kind of excited for that. Hopefully people will be interested in it. But this is not that. They're not fighting Nazis in this. They're in just like the kind of DC world where like Infinite Crisis is kind of crazy. There's all this crazy stuff that happens in that. It's like Wonder Woman kills somebody on TV, that kind of thing. So like it's there's lots of crazy stuff going on in the background of this where like people don't trust the government, and then Shade is like did all this crazy stuff, and then Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters are basically run by the government. So it's it's crazy. It's good though. Though it's not great. Like because it's the end. They're just like their book got canceled, I guess. But like for what it was all right. And like if it wasn't like they were just winding it down for the entire book, like it probably would have been all right. So I want to read the first part of it to see like how that goes, because I'm sure the first part they were like it's good. We're not getting canceled because they had 6 more issues or whatever. But like who knows? But continuing on, we've got Justice League Dark. This is volume 3 of the New 52 series. This is the death of magic, where like there's a kind of continuing story where you know they get kind of like sucked into an alternate dimension, and it's like this magic world where they have like all these weird abilities. Like they have different abilities than they normally have, and like magic is super powerful. But yeah, it's a good, I mean, in this is like the team changes a bit in this. Like you've got more Frankenstein, and you can see like Deadman Constantine. This is not Swamp Thing. And like the dude from the Books of Magic, Timothy, whatever his name was, is a big part of this. But yeah, the Flash is in this. See, the Flash. But he's not a member of the team. He just helps them out in one part, where the House of Mystery is kind of going nuts. And continuing on, I got Justice League Dark. This is the 4th volume, The Rebirth of Evil. This is like part of an event. So like there was the like a big event in DC Comics, which was like, fuck, what was it called? Forever Evil, where like the Earth 3 superheroes are all evil, and they kind of invade the normal Earth 0, Earth Prime, I guess. So like the problem with this is it's good, like, but it's clearly not not the whole story, because like you'll be going through, like, for example, like it starts off and you're just like, you know, like it starts off as an alright story where like, but you don't know what's happening, and like you'll get to a point where you kind of know what's happening. The issue will end, and then it's like jumped again to somewhere else, and you don't like, you have to like kind of infer what happened from what. Like I'm sure there's a story where it is like, probably in the Forever Evil book there was the one for this storyline, which is the Blight. But like, you know, for example, it's like like one of those cartoon shows. Like, okay, this is a perfect example. If you ever watched Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, they always watched a TV show called The Brown Hornet. And the Brown Hornet TV show and Fat Albert always started with the end of a story that was like where the Brown Hornet is escaping from some ridiculous plan, but like you didn't know the story. All you just know is this ridiculous way he's escaping from this thing. So like it's kind of like that, where like you'll get to a point in the story where, you know, like you're in the story, and then it'll end the issue, and the next issue, like somehow like they've escaped and they're doing something else. They're doing something else entirely, and you're just like, what did I miss? Where's the story here? Not in this book. So like you get a general idea of what happened, because like, you know, like, but like characters are dead, like die in between the things. You're just like, well, why is suddenly the Phantom Stranger like dead? And then, you know, it's a little jumpy with the story here. So like this one, it's good, but it's hard to follow if like, since I didn't have the other parts of the story. Like I don't know where to find them. I have to probably look it up. So that was, you know, kind of bad. Constantine leaves the group at the end, which is also weird. I don't know. There's like only 2 more books for Justice League Dark before this series ended, and it became a new Justice League Dark with Wonder Woman. But those aren't out yet either, so I mean the trade isn't out. And last book here, best one. I love this book so much. This is a book I read like back in the day when it first came out. This is like 1990 or so, maybe 89, 90, 91, around there. But you could always see the sign for this in the comic shop, and it would always have this image, and it would say, "Live fast, love hard, die with your mask on." And that is like the tagline for the Brat Pack here. This is by Rick Veitch, who worked on Swamp Thing. And you might remember Swamp Thing, like Alan Moore was doing Swamp Thing, and it was like really different and cool. And like they did this thing where Rick Veitch was writing Swamp Thing, and he wanted to like Swamp Thing to meet Jesus or something. And it was like a huge thing, like in the news. Like it came out like people were like, no, Swamp Thing is not going to meet Jesus. And like DC like canceled the issue, and Rick Veitch quit on principle. He was just like, well, fuck you guys then, I'm going to quit if you're not going to run my Swamp Thing meets Jesus story. And he did, but after he quit, he made Brat Pack. And man, Brat Pack is so good. So here you go. Live fast, love hard, die with your mask on. So this is kind of like essential reading for people who want to like think about the kind of deconstruction of comics that happened in the late 80s, early 90s with like The Dark Knight Returns and like Watchmen. So if you like Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen, you'll like Brat Pack. It's different though, because it focuses around this city called Slumberg. And essentially there's 4 superheroes in the city who are like fill-ins for normal superheroes. So like there's a fill-in for Batman, a fill-in for the Green Arrow, a fill-in for Wonder Woman, and a fill-in for Sandman, like the Golden Age Sandman. Except they're, like horrible. And they all have like teenage sidekicks like those heroes did. So like, in this case, like, I could show you the picture again. So like you have this team, right? And they're not a team, like they're just like a hero and a sidekick, right? But like you have like, this guy is the, what the fuck is his name? There's something, the Mink something. I'll look it up. I'll just look at it. It's, yeah, I can't find it, but like, it's something the Mink, whatever, it's not super important, but like, so the Mink here is like, he's like a ridiculous gay stereotype, so like, he's like the alpha gay or whatever, and so his teen sidekick, who is like a Robin, basically, everyone like makes fun of him, like, oh, he's gay, he's like, his like man boy love helper or whatever, and like, it's, and then like the other team, you have like the Wonder Woman equivalent, who is like this horrible man hater who wants to like, who like collects testicles of men and stuff, like, she's but she's also like super slutty and also like way beaten up, like she's like has no teeth, and she wears a wig to cover her bald head, and she has like all this stuff that like makes her look beautiful when she's all dressed up, but like after, when her, she's like totally fake, she looks like an 80-year-old woman but despite being like in her late 20s. But so here's like the Batman equipment is the Mink here. The you can see he's like sort of, he's like meant to be like totally gay. He rapes people in this too. Like, it's not a it's not like he's pretending. But so his partner is Chippy, who's kind of the main character. And then you have like the Wonder Woman equivalent has like another has a girl with her who she forces to like wear skimpy clothes and like seduce people and get breast implants and whatever. And then you have like the Green Arrow equivalent, who is his partner is like, he's forces him to like take drugs and drink, so he becomes like a drug addict. That's kind of like Speedy, how like Green Arrow had Speedy, who became a heroin addict. And then you have like the Judge Jury, who is the guy who's like the Sandman, and he is like he's basically like a Klan member. He just like hates all races except white people, and he is like super racist. He flies on a burning cross, like he's like not subtle at all. But like he his teen sidekick basically is injected with steroids constantly and like tortured and made to be like a kind of I don't know, just like he's beaten and roided up, so he's like constant rage. So you have these teen sidekicks, and they all right in the beginning they all get murdered, and you go through the story of like them recruiting these new kids and their training and stuff, and like Chippy is like the main character, and he's just basically like the guy that's like the Batman villain is like he's like Hugh Hefner basically. He runs like a porno mag, and he has like a mansion full of beautiful women, but he's actually like pining for the Superman equivalent who is missing in the book, the Max Immortal, who is like basically Superman is in this book and he's disappeared, but like he's like connected to the I want to like the origin of all of them. So like how they became the superheroes is because of him, but like he eventually leaves and they become the only heroes, and they're basically like they're really interested in things like contracts for toys and comics and stuff. Like they're like really in it for the money, and so like the superheroes are cynically have these teen sidekicks to like have more merchandising and stuff and to sell stuff, and it's kind of it's really dark. The there's a lot of like over the top kind of darkness to this book, and it's just like how these heroes like are not really heroes, and they also have been like torturing children for their sidekicks. It's kind of it's like a deconstruction in the same way of like The Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, but it's like really cynical. It's really good though. Like if you've never heard of Brat Pack or read Brat Pack, this is new. It just came out like a couple of days ago. It's a reprint by IDW, so this should be available anywhere. You could probably buy it on Amazon if you're interested, but good book, really good. It's like, as you can see, like it's all black and white, painted black and white, so it's gray dated. But like, I mean, if you want to like, there's like a lot of the covers in the back, so like you can see like these covers were like insane when this stuff came. Like imagine this like 1980, like 1990 or so, this cover. And like my local comic book shop like had these issues, but they didn't put them out. You had to ask for them. So, but here is like Chippy. But man, this was so good. Reading this again after so long, it's even better. I love this image right here. It's like the but there's a twist to the story. There's like a lot of interesting stuff going on. It's really good. So I mean, I really recommend it. It's just like essential reading. You have to read Brat Pack if you haven't read it before, and if you like stuff like The Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have this week. I'll probably have more next week because I'll probably get through a lot of those collections. But I've got some big stuff. I like bought huge books, like 700-page books that are collections of stuff, right? So like, I'm not gonna get through all of those quickly. But I read a bunch of small stuff and a bunch of big stuff. So eventually I'll have those too. But yeah, so that's about it. I will catch you guys next time.